Just to recap the last ball game, going back and looking at it, I was obviously really impressed with the first half of play. Just what we did in all three phases. And when you look at defensively, I think their first 7 drives, 6 of the first 7 resulted in 4 punts, 2 turnover on downs against a really prolific offense. Sometimes I forget what teams are averaging coming in, and they were averaging over 200 yards rushing a game, over 200 yards passing, and over 40 points a game. So to hold that group to 60 yards rushing, and really, a couple late touchdowns there. I thought our defense played really good, did a good job getting off the field on third down. Offensively, I just love the execution of it all. 5 of the first 6 drives, the way we operated. I know there was that drive at the end of the first half, but the execution tells me because we only had 5 third downs in there. So we were playing really good football on first and second down, and then converting 3 of the 5 on third down was really effective. The offense continues to take care of the ball, which I'm extremely proud of. I think we've only had 3 turnovers on the year. Last, Saturday night didn't have any again. Defensively, we're so close. I love the effort by the guys. I think we had 2 interceptions go off our fingertips. When we're punching, we're ripping at the ball. So it's not about effort and want to. Sooner or later, that dam will break. We got to continue to play with that effort and tenacity. And I thought, on special teams, that was a really sound game for us. There weren't as many highlight plays, but we played really sound. They brought 3 kickoffs back. We tackled all 3 of them inside the 20, I think right around the 17-yard line or so. So all of that was really good. I think Bijan continues to do what he does. I know sometimes we talk about so many of the other guys, but third straight game over 100 yards. I think he's got 9 touchdowns on the year. He's such a factor. Sometimes it always doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it shows up for the other guys because of the attention he deserves. So with all that being said, we got plenty to work on. We got back to it today, which was important for us. We've obviously got a quality opponent in a great environment, in a great game. And it's going to take maximum mental intensity and focus and execution to come out on top. So that's what we're striving to do.
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get a mic to you. Start with Anwar up front to the left, right?
Coach, first of all, once again, I'll take anything you'll want to give us as far as the injury update as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. I do have a second follow-up question today.
Yeah, we're healthier than we've ever been since the start of the season, and that's a positive. So we'll see how the week goes.
Okay. And speaking of the quarterbacks, obviously Hudson, has played well, probably played his better game there. I'm curious your philosophy, though, Coach, as relates to a backup filling in for a starter. If the backup has a hot hand, do you stay with a guy like that, or when the starter's healthy, the starter comes back?
No, my philosophy is pretty simple. Play the guy that I think gives us the best chance to be successful, whether he's the starter, the backup, hot hand, not whoever I think is going to give us the best chance to be successful and put us in position to win the ball game. That's what we'll play.
Dennis, go ahead.
Coach, usually we would never use the term rat poison with Texas OU week, but the fact that they have played the way they have, you guys are coming off such a good game. Is there any way you guys go into this game not being, 100% committed?
First of all, I appreciate the reference to rat poison, so that was good. I don't know how we could ever think to do that. This rivalry, this game, and what it all stands for, and the way these two teams have played in this game for decades, we know more than ever we're going to get the best version of them. We need to make sure that they get the best version of us. They're a very talented team. They're an extremely well-coached team. Hey, we go through ebb and flows of a season, new coaching staff, new team. We went through it too, but this team's really good, and they play really hard, and they're really well-coached, and we have our work cut out for us, and we need to play a very good football game to be victorious.
Over here on your far left, Chip.
Steve, what have you seen when you look at Oklahoma? What stands out about them? What has maybe keyed some of their struggles the last 2 games?
Well, I think first of all, offensively, their tempo jumps out at you. These guys play as fast or faster than anybody in the country. They do a nice job of creating space for their skill players, whether it's the runners or the receivers. They create one-on-one matchups, which can be a problem, and they're a very physical front running the football. So that's the first part. Defensively, Coach Venables has been doing it a long time on the defensive side of the ball. They got a myriad of defenses. They can cause a lot of problems up front with their pressure packages and then their disguise of their coverages. So at the end of the day, we got to prepare for all of that. Not to mention, this is probably the best special teams unit we'll face all year. These guys are talented. They've got great returners. They're really well coached. They've got an NFL return scheme. So we've got a lot of work to do in all three phases.
Coach, you've had one Texas OU experience under your belt. What was the biggest takeaway you got last year, and will you change anything, or what was your biggest impression of your first Texas-Oklahoma matchup at the Cotton Bowl?
My first impression of Red River Showdown is what an awesome environment for college football. I've been fortunate to have been in a lot of great games and a lot of rivalry games, and never had the neutral site setting. And this was from the moment you start pulling into the state fair on your buses and you see both sides. That's what it's about. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. That's what it's about. So that's the first part. I loved everything about it. I think for me, coming out of the game, the one thing that we need to understand is the way the stands are split. One end of the field, it's a home game. On the other end of the field, it's a road game, and I think you need to handle that accordingly. So I think we'll adjust some things there in the way we approach it, especially offensively.
On your left, center.
Hey, Steve, human nature, there's human nature to look at what they did. They got beat 55-24. How do you get your guys in the right mindset? Because you did mention Saturday you don't want to get caught looking at the scoreboard, and they have won the conference after starting 0-2 before.
Last time I checked this morning when I walked in our building, the golden hat wasn't in there. So we got plenty to get ourselves prepared to go for.
Kirk, go ahead.
I think 5 head coaches have already been fired this year. I don't know if that shocks you and you feel like people are more impatient. And obviously Brent's off to a slow start. I guess, do you feel his pain a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, hey, our profession is a tight-knit fraternity. A lot of great coaches, a lot of great people. I think as the landscape of college football has changed, with NIL, with the transfer portal, with conference realignment, with the amount of money that people are talking about, I think us as coaches have even a bigger responsibility now. And I think schools are trying to get ahead of things from a standpoint if they're going to go look to hire coaches because of the early signing period, because of the transfer portal. I think we saw it last year. I think that was the start of it. And now we're seeing it even earlier. I don't like it. I don't like it as much as I don't like it for the coaches. I don't like it for the kids on the current teams. They put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this with their coaches. We develop great bonds with our players, and it feels like when you make changes like that. And I hate to just lump everybody into one. But man, what are you saying to your current team? Are we just looking ahead already? Are we looking to the future? Or are we about this current team, and then we worry about the next year stuff later on? So it's a tough situation. It's not just the head coach; it's the assistant coaches. There's a lot of people and families involved. I understand it's the nature of our business, but it is never easy. Yeah, Brent. Hey, man, Brent's a heck of a football coach, man. They're going to win a lot of football games. I've known him a long time. He's done it at a high level wherever he's been. And anytime you're in the process of building a program, it's never easy, but that's why we do it. He just like myself, Brent knows what he signed up for. When you take on a job and the magnitude of this or there, there's expectations and there's a standard to which, that we internally, hold to of what we're expected to coach to and play to. And there's no secret to it all, so they'll be okay. He's a heck of a coach.
In the middle, Roger.
Coach, you mentioned the mental game, and this is one of those games where the emotion swings, the momentum swings are so great. Last year, great example. Is that part of the mental process this week, is getting your guys ready for handling that?
Yeah, I would think so. We've worked a lot at this, Roger. The mental side of the game. I think that's why, you never know what direction a game is going to go in. We talk about it all the time about, every game takes on a personality of its own. I think one thing, we should all know, and whether it was before me or even last year, this game can go in a lot of directions early, and that can have a tendency to swing its way back in another direction. So I just don't think you can worry about what has happened. It's about what are you going to do on the next play. And I think the next play mentality is going to be really big Saturday.
On your far left, Nick.
Yes, Steve, just wanted to ask about JT Sanders. How, important has his evolution been for y'all, and how, transformative can it be to have a dynamic tight end like that on your offense?
Yeah, I love JT. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I give him a lot of credit. In this day and age of the 5-star recruit, it's instant gratification. He's supposed to walk in the door and become a starter the day he gets here, because that's what he hears on social media and that's what everybody writes about and all those things. When in reality, there's this idea of development and developing players. And I think JT put in a lot of work last year with Coach Banks. And we asked him to do things that were different than maybe what he had done before. He had the skill set to do it, but we really wanted to dive into him that way to become a complete tight end. And not just be a one-dimensional pass receiver, and he's done it. He really put in the work, and we're seeing it. I think, obviously we see the playmaking ability that he provides, the versatility that he provides us. But one thing that I think goes a little unnoticed for a guy who's a true sophomore in his second year, he's a really good leader. This guy has got the right makeup of a great player, in that he has the leadership qualities necessary to be that kind of guy. And he stands up, he's not afraid. And, the more guys like that we can get, the better for us. So I love the progression that he's made to get to this point. His development is not over by any means, but the trajectory that he's on is a really good one.
Sarko's won 4 straight and 6 of 7 in the series, and there are a lot of guys that have been a part of that and the way last year went down. Is there a way to channel the frustrations of those and use that for positive, or do you want them to completely erase all that stuff and not?
I think at the end, man, we're all competitors. We want to win. Nobody likes the feeling of a loss ever. But I think inevitably, if we can't harbor our past, we've got to learn from our past, then we've got to move forward, and we've got to take the necessary steps. And we've done a lot of things in our program to develop and to change our culture from where we're at from a year ago at this time. I think we're a group that is mentally tough, that can persevere through kind of the ups and downs. I think we showed that a week ago. But I think we can do it in game as well. And that's what it's going to take in games like this. We can't go back and win the last 4. All we can do is focus on Saturday and try to do our best to kind of put our best foot forward and give ourselves the best chance.
Steve, I'm kind of wondering, what are your thoughts on the development so far this season, the receivers behind Xavier and Jordan, just kind of where are those guys at?
Yeah, I like where we're at. Like anything as a coach, I'm never satisfied. I'm always wanting more. I think we've seen Casey Kane step up at moments. He had an opportunity for a touchdown the other night, got a pass interference in the end zone. He's had a couple of those throughout the year. I think Tariq Milton the last couple of weeks has started to show up a little bit more. And then what I would say more so than anything about our receiving core, I felt like the last 2 weeks, week or so, we've practiced the best collectively as a group. I think guys have really bought into dialing into the details of what we're trying to do. We're not a simple offense. We're not just line up in the same spot on the field every snap and run 4 different routes. We put a lot on those guys. We ask a lot of them. I think that gives us the best chance to be successful as an offensive football team. But I think it also puts them even in a better position for their future, because that's preparing them for the National Football League on what they're going to be asked to do at that level. So they're getting exposure, I think, to a pretty high-level system that is only going to help them. But they got to dive into the details to make that happen.
I don't know how many times you've called plays against Brent, but what do you remember from some of those matchups in those high-stakes football games?
He's really good. Brent has always been a guy that tries to get his players in the best position. He's got that aggressive mentality about him. He's trying to knock you off schedule. Has done a really good job of that throughout his entire career. and he's going to scheme you. He's a heck of a coach. You know, he's going to look at us too. We're looking at them, they're looking at us, and they're going to try to do the things necessary, and he's going to try to put his players in the best position to have success.
Coach, during the game, I witnessed Jake Majors do some things with the offensive line to keep them in sync and make sure they're on task, not letting things get in their head. Can you talk about his impact for that offensive
Jake's a
line?
great leader. It's always good when your center is one of the leaders on your team. He's obviously on our leadership council. He's got great command of our offense. I think that he and Coach Flood have really good rapport. So all of our calls funnel through Jake up front. And his knowledge base gives him the confidence to make those calls. I don't think he ever makes calls where he's second guessing himself. He makes calls with confidence. He's got good command. Not only is he mentally tough, he's a physically tough guy. And I think year 3 for him in college, year 2 for him in our system has really benefited him as he's continued to mature.
You mentioned one side of the field at the Cotton Bowl feeling like a home game, the other side feeling like a road game. What changes specifically offensively from one side to the other? Is it your play calling? Is it snap counts? What changes?
I think more so it's snap counts. I thought the crowd noise last year got us a little bit. I didn't think we handled it very well. I don't think we were very mature last year. I thought we lost a little bit of composure in last year's game, especially in the fourth quarter when we were kind of backed up in that end. I didn't like our composure. I didn't like our poise. So that is something that we've addressed and will continue to address to make sure that, one, we have to do our part to put them in position to operate at a high level, and then two, their poise and composure in doing that when we're in that end of the field.
Got time for 2 last ones. Roger?
Steve, the C.J. Donaldson thing kind of took everybody's breath away Saturday night. Neil Brown wrote a nice note right after a really tough loss about how you guys handled it. Any update? And then just the whole head injury thing is always at the forefront, but seems right now it's really there.
Yeah, it is. I just actually texted with Neil again this morning. It was a really bad concussion, and again, he's thankful. I'm thankful. Thought our medical team did a great job of taking care of him. It's always hard because we as head coaches have a responsibility for the well-being and safety of our players, and I go back just to last week alone. If you just took a snapshot of last week in football and you look at Tua Tagovailoa from 1 week to that game on Thursday night, from Sunday to Thursday night, and what that looked like. And obviously that one hits me at home. I coached the young man. I recruited him since he was in high school, coached him, so a very scary moment. I had a chance because of a night game to turn on the OU game during the day on Saturday and watch 2 of their players. One take a really vicious hit, another one get carted off. And then I see C.J. Donaldson in our game and that situation come up. And our game is a beautiful game, but it is a violent sport. And I think the hard part for all of us as coaches is trusting our medical staff in the advice they give us. That we're taking care of our players and that we're doing it in a mindset of it's about safety first and the safety of our game for the future of our game, and making sure that we're not putting players in position to further injure themselves. I mean, that Tua thing kind of shook me. And, again, I try to do everything in our power to teach our players the proper fundamentals and techniques. We use the Guardian helmets. We do all these things to protect our players. But in the end, when players get hurt, I think that's the hardest part. Competitively as a coach, I want to put my guys back out there as soon as I can. But I've got to follow the advice of the medical people. They're the experts. I am not, and nor any of us are as coaches. So it's tough, because that's our game. And I think there's a snapshot for almost 7 days right there of what things can happen and why it's so important to follow the advice of the medical teams, but also ensuring that we're teaching proper fundamentals and techniques.
Last one.
Coach, you guys are averaging about 6 points a game in the fourth quarter, and you guys have been held to just field goals in the past 2 games. Can you identify maybe what's going on in the fourth quarter, especially from an offensive standpoint, and the necessity to close out games?
Yeah, we didn't. This past weekend we didn't have many ops. The way the game went. We had the one drive there at the end that I don't want to say we weren't trying to score, but the goal was to finish the game with the ball in our possession for the last, I think it was 6 minutes or whatever it was. So, not a lot of opportunities in there, but inevitably, you got to have respect for the game. And, I just don't think it's right sometimes just to take another shot or do something along those lines. I would have liked for us to operate a little better in the first drive in the fourth quarter when we got down there in the red area, and we obviously kicked the field goal, but we had 2 possessions. But ultimately, man, we got to stay aggressive when the opportunity presents itself, and we got to execute. That's what's going to, allow us to score when we need to in the fourth quarter.